What's good, everybody? Though it's full time strip. We're back again, and yeah, Arsenal 2, Tottenham 2, North London derby at the Emirates Stadium. 2 goals from Bukayo Saka. Actually, one own goal and one penalty converted from Bukayo Saka, and 2 goals from a human son. To see an honors even draw, shared points across the board, whatever you want to call it. But the performance today, it wasn't hitting. I got Timo with me. What's good, man?
How we doing, people?
Oh man, I got a point to make, but I want to at least get you first. For again, after the first 35 minutes, we seemed to have a lot of really good control exerted over the game, and pressure was being put on them, but couldn't put more on the pile. After the first mistake, it was open, but we couldn't get through to score more goals, and there was a couple of clear goal situations that we could have converted on. And then after that 35 minutes, things just went south. What'd you make of it?
I mean, from the moment the ball was, when the whistle was blown, we were pretty much at the races. Relentless pressing, as you expect from us playing at home. Even more so because it's a North London derby and we want to get in these players' faces. Odegaard, Jesus, Saka, a lot of them were pressing pretty well. Passing rhythm for a period wasn't spectacular, but it was enough to get us by. We found a lot of success down the right-hand side. Especially Saka going on that doggy and effectively even getting a yellow very early on. So it allowed him to kind of create a lot more space, have a lot more time on the ball. And you can clearly see that with the goal, because as soon as Udogie tries to come back, Saka's already left him taking the shot, and we've scored. So, opening, we were very promising. I won't expect everybody to kind of be performing at 100% in that sense. It is opening 35 and it's a game of 2 halves, but you'd like to have seen a bit more from the likes of Odegaard and Fabio Vieira. But as it goes, one cross into the box, lapse of concentration. Goalkeepers had to palm it out, probably inside our box, where I'd rather he, as crazy as it sounds, let it go out for a corner. And it's created an obvious error from our defense, and Maddison's been able to use a brilliant piece of skill to get past Saka, ball into the box, and it's 1-1. At that point, bro, 35 minutes in, you want to just get to halftime and rethink, just recalculate, kind of I would say respirate, breathe, But yeah, no. After the 35, it just seemed like they weren't at the races. There were a few things going on here and there, and Tottenham seemed to be very up for the game. So yeah,
it fucking sucks. First and foremost, let's just get this. This is an L. Clearly in my book, like this is. Yeah. This is a game where we exerted control, and again, the same topic comes up. I hate to beat it over the head, but I talked about it before the season started. I got to talk about it again today. It's the same lack of ruthlessness. We're able to have, or we have them where we want them for 35 minutes, and we only allow 1 goal to get scored. We only score 1 goal on them in that period of time, and then from there we lose control. We back things up in the game. We allow things to happen again, albeit through injury or change of physicality, or our levels just being engaged in the game. We let teams back in. We give teams a glimmer of hope, and it's that same hope that kills us. I hate to use that phrase because it's been attributed to us for a long time, but in games, in this context, it always is the hope that kills us. It's because we allow it to live. We have control, but we don't apply the same pressure to convert. We don't go for the kill, and that hurts us every time. Man. Like, it's just off top, man. Jesus tried to do something, but it wasn't as effective. Had a clear chance. He got the ball off Maddison. Didn't take a deep breath. Didn't concentrate. Just skied it. That's where you have to have composure. Again, that's not the same Jesus that skinned Dallo. Dallo's still sliding, by the way. That's not the same Jesus right there. He still needed to take a deep breath, calm down, tuck it away. Eddie Nketiah, I'm not sure what he was on, but I feel like he lost his head from somewhere in the first half, and he was just running like a headless chicken. He was trying to be a Spurs player with the chicken status and stuff like that. I don't know. I don't know where that went, but it's just the lack of ruthlessness is my thing. We've been harping on it, and we're not seeing consistent uptrend of them doing the job, them scoring the goals, them making it happen. But I will say this, a game like this today cried out for Gabriel Martinelli, bro. This game was built for Gabriel Martinelli. I'm sorry, with the level of directness, the fullbacks are going to press, so there's going to be gaps and spaces. There could have been a better outlet than, you know, what we had today, and that was Gabriel Martinelli. So that's a miss. Again, there's players that we have out. Unfortunately, Rice went off in the second half, and that contributed a lot to our lack of control, not being able to retain the ball and just recycle and keep applying pressure. And just so many things went wrong today, but it all started from us not being able to push the final button and go for the kill. That's literally it. It's literally it. I'm gonna say probably the most disgusting thing I'm gonna say probably ever on this channel. Fair play to Spurs. Fair play to that team. Fair play.
You know what? I feel
it's disgusting. I don't ever want to say this again. I will never ever say this in a non-neutral zone again. If I'm ever, you know what I'm saying, you know, when we hit pundit status down the line, I can give honest thing because that they pay me for that. But when we hear this is probably gonna be one of the only times you're gonna hear me say this. Fair play. Yves Bissouma today is probably the best midfielder on the pitch. Let's be real. There was so much pressure on it. He was a big reliever for them. You know what I'm saying? Maddison today, I maybe might have put a hint of regret in some of the people's minds of maybe we should have, you know, brought him for that left center mid spot. There's just a lot of good players, but the rest of them probably weren't as crazy. But those two in particular had a fantastic game. And Son, of course, Son does what Son does, and that
feel like
a pain in my ass, but it is what it is.
I feel like the one thing you like effectively you said you won't say again. I'm not even gonna make you say it again.
Please don't.
But I look at how different this Spurs team look. I'm not in here to give plaudits to the scum, whatever. But in terms of how they chose to attack today and how they chose to have control over the game, they executed their game plan pretty well. I don't think they'd even have looked at it from perspective of them going down and then essentially having their heads down like they did last season. New manager, I wouldn't say new manager bounce because it's been a number of games now. They've clearly got an ideology that they're trying to follow, and it seems to be working for the best part. You know, my biggest thing, and I feel like the standout player, even though Son had scored 2 and Maddison played well, I think Bissouma really contributed towards that win. May have gotten a draw, crazy stuff. It feels like a loss.
Yeah, it feels like an L. It does. It feels like an L, bro. I'm sorry. Even when we're not at the peak of our powers, it still feels like an L.
You know what I mean? So I feel like Bissouma being able to contribute the way he did, especially with our loss of Declan Rice at halftime, contributed towards them being able to kind of have that element of success in the places that they were playing the ball across the pitch. And there is the element of I do feel sorry for Arteta in regards to how Rice had to come off. Us finding out that Trossard wasn't going to have any part to play in this game early on, because obviously if you look at the week we've had, you'd have bet your house on if Trossard starts or if even he has Martinelli available. We stretch this game, we give Tottenham a completely different problem. But look, you can only field the 11 on the pitch and have your subs on the bench, and hopefully they can contribute in a way. It was very clear that Jorginho couldn't pair up with the intensity of the game, especially at where we were. And obviously I was when he was signed, I was heavily critical on that signing because we had obvious other targets to go and get, which we obviously later on got. But I feel at this level, if you're trying to get the ball out, if you're trying to have an element of decision, and I feel like it's his first big mistake as an Arsenal player. So I don't want it to be a thing where I look at it and I'm like, okay, like you don't deserve to, I don't want to kind of throw that on him. Look, it's tough. He's in a difficult environment in regards to where we are at the game. Just needs to get locked in. But I can say that for players that had played the whole 90 minutes or even 100 minutes, so I don't want to be as harsh on him as I will be on everyone else when it comes to the team ratings.
I got something for damn near everybody except like 3 players, to be real. I got something for the whole squad to be very, very honest. But it's just That was a prime game to. Every game is a prime game to show that we can turn the key in and put all these teams away. All these teams who we should be putting away, to put them away. But again, we let them live. Teams against I've said this is like a common theme for years, especially under this Arteta reign. We only allow, what I'm saying, we only lose by what we allow. You know what I'm saying? That's our, to the extent of our will. I think if we impose ourselves on teams, we have control, we have momentum, but it's how much we can allow. If we allow these chances to go by without being, unanswered, without piling on goals, this is the gap. This is the margin. If we're gonna still be in a hunt, in contention for this league, that's what we got to look at. All this, the lack of control today, even without a Declan Rice, the lack of intent from attackers. Everybody except everybody except Saka, was on it today in terms of attacking. You know what I'm saying? Like Saka was the only person there. In defense, some of these things that are kind of going, like just kind of a little bit sideways. I don't think Ben White had a crazy good game. I don't think Zinchenko was probably better, but not the craziest game either. Gabriel and Saliba can escape. We can talk about them in a second. But like the simple things, making mistakes when you don't need to. It's all of these. They look minuscule, but they make all the difference. This is all the difference, and those little things can turn the tide. And make teams who we should be putting away, like Spurs, in the first 35 minutes. That's what makes them survive, and somehow get something out of it. And it's annoying. But let's get to the lineups, man. Let's get to the 1 through 11 really quickly. Raya, I'm going to give. I'll give a 5.5. I'm gonna be real. I think most of it. You know what? I'll give a 6.5. I don't think the second goal was his fault. I think the first one, I think he definitely caused, which knocks him down. Second goal wasn't his fault. That was Jorginho, and he had to kind of just adjust from there.
There's nothing. I feel like when you're in that position of a counter attack, there is not much you can do. Yeah, you can only try and make yourself big. Yeah, and definitely. Son in that sort of position, like he will be clinical, whether you like it or not.
You know what? I'll say 6.5 because I forgot the Brennan Johnson save. I completely forgot about that one earlier in the game. I blinked on that one. My bad. But but the Brennan Johnson save, he definitely gets points back on that. But everything else, distribution was good. Handling for most of it was good. It was just keeping that ball alive for the first goal instead of smacking it out, and just unfortunate to concede the second. So that's what I got. We can go Ben White.
I also think to add to that, he will have looked at that performance as a whole and be like, whoa, okay, this is the level. I feel like obviously having played midweek in Champions League, great. Yeah, I feel like PSV are different.
But that wasn't a test. That wasn't a test he wanted.
Today he'll look at it and think, first big performance, I could have done better. And somebody on the bench is going to be looking at that and like, you're going to think, okay, now I know that it's not impossible to get myself back in the starting 11, so that's what I would add to that.
100. I agree. But give me Ben White.
Right, so Ben White, I'd probably give a 6. I feel like it was an average performance. I feel like on that right hand side, I feel like he pretty much dealt with Brennan Johnson well within the first 35 minutes, maybe even the first half. It's not the Ben White I saw midweek, and it's definitely not the Ben White I saw last weekend in regards to his attacking prowess. Again, it might have just been a completely different kind of formation or set of tactics that Arteta might have offered him, but I just don't think he did anything spectacular. Won a few in dangerous balls that were like close to being goals or goal scoring opportunities, but again, he also was in a mix of how the first goal had been conceded as well. For both him and Saka had to do better there, if I'm being extremely harsh. But no, nothing spectacular. I think he gets a 6, and that's it. That's it from me.
Yeah, I hear it. And I'll probably say only for the fact that there were some last ditch efforts again, and when the game was really stretched, he held it down as usual. Saliba 6.5, I'll give him that. But yeah, again, there were some mistakes made. He made a mistake in the second half or the first half. I can't remember where, but it was just a bad pass. He misplaced pass. He recovered well, but that's not usual. You know what I'm saying? Like it just he did what he could, but it just wasn't enough given certain situations. And again, that mistake piled on. So I'm gonna say 6.5, plain and simple. But definitely one of the few people who was actually seemed up to
the game.
Yeah, up to the game, and just at least in the relative ballpark of where we needed to be. So still paces off, but somewhere closer than the rest of the lot. Give me Gabriel.
Yeah. I would say similar performance. I'd say a 6.5.
I agree.
I don't think at least from a perspective of what he had to deal with in regards to Son, again, I feel like if I'm being heavily critical on that side of the pitch where the ball's been in out wide before it comes central, he can only do so much. You can only ask your keeper to put it out of your player, and you can only ask your fullback and your winger to try and at least apply enough pressure so that the ball's forced out of play as opposed to coming back into the box. Besides that, set piece wise, I think he was brilliant. In and around the box, especially with handing over Richarlison when he came on, absolutely fine. Also applied a lot of pressure on Maddison when he was trying to shoot from distance or in and around the box where we know he can actually, put one in the net. I seem to think that Gabriel didn't do too bad, so I think a 6.5 is probably justified. Without him and Saliba today, it'd have been a hot mess, So credit to the both of them. Yeah, I think 6.5 probably does him justice.
Agreed. Zinchenko, I'm probably gonna give a 6 as well. I feel like he didn't do too much wrong, honestly, but it was just certain parts of the channels when the game's getting stretched, and he couldn't cope and needed support. There was I think, at least from certain defensive actions, he was a little bit more consistent than other games, at least in 1v1 situations. But I think it was unfortunate how the game unfolded, and he's kind of stuck in that process. But I'd say 6 pretty solid for the fullbacks, and then 6.5 for the center backs. That makes sense to me. Give me Martin Odegaard.
Okay. I've actually been given Odegaard's rating for maybe the last 2 weeks now. After the PSV performance, bro, he was unplayable. Contributed in both phases of the game, whether it be press, going forward, tracking back, balls out and balls into the box, combination play. He had it all. And it even burns me to say this, but if I had to look at the battle of number 10s on this game, I wouldn't give Odegaard a rating. I feel like with the way the game kicked off, I think he set the tone in regards to the press, which I feel on Derby Day you have to do. So carrying out his captain duties, I feel like just dudes, he deserves his credit for that. But something we love Odegaard for and what he's able to bring to the team is his presence moving forward and being able to get others into the game. And sadly, he wasn't able to do that. On the ball this game, he was non-existent. I love the boy. Also, love the game of football. And I don't like applauding the opposite team's number 10, but Maddison had a better game.
Maddison clearly outplayed him today, bro. And it sucked to see. It sucked to see because I'm like, bro, after the game midweek where he was so. Again, this was like a night and day performance, and again, it might have been a little bit different given again just the nature of the two different teams. But it was just night. It was night and day. It was night and day, bro.
I will say,
off the ball, cool, but on the ball, that's where most of the contract was going to. I think you know what I'm saying, like being that creative outlet, being that progressor.
I hate to bring in the thought of the contract in this scenario. I just think it's one of them ones. I don't want to even give this excuse for 90% of the players that played midweek because they look tired after 90 minutes. But if I'm looking at it from perspective of what I was able to see the Spurs players do, they ran. They had control over the ball. They regardless of how much of the ball they had, they made every pass count. I think at halftime, Odegaard had a 35% pass accuracy or pass completion, which is something we do not associate with Odegaard at all. So I will say, I think it was just an off day. It is a terrible time to pick an off day, not just because it's a North London derby and the fact that he signed a new contract with us, and we're really happy about that, but more so just in regards to he's in a caliber which we hold him so high. So effectively these are the performances that you look at and think, like last season, unplayable against Tottenham. So I think it was just an off day. Cuttums was like, I'm going to give him a 5.5. That's kind of how I look at it. I don't think he played better than anyone else in the starting 11, maybe Bart and Nketiah, and that's just how I look at it.
Yeah, no, it's fair. Yeah. You know what, you nicer than me on that one. I'm not gonna lie. Again, we want to put him in the same caliber and conversations as you know what I'm saying, like a KDB in this case. Yeah. You know what I'm saying, where many arguments may go. You know what I'm saying, people put him and Bruno Fernandes in the conversations and comparisons a lot. You know what I'm saying. Yeah. The consistency has to be there. It has to be there on the ball, in combination, unlocking the players in front of you, especially Saka. Then we can get to him later. He still had a good game, but he was one of the guiding lights. But still, with that, you need to enable him. You can't just let him do things on his own. I feel like it's starting to itch the back of my head a little bit when he blanks. It's like that side kind of just
almost like withers. if he blanks, then there's we'll get onto the other ratings of other players later. But when he goes missing, in some sense, it's not just going to be him because of how much of a contributor he is towards the rest of the team. You know, and especially going forward. So, but yeah,
it's just real, man. It's real. But Declan Rice, I'm gonna give. Probably didn't have enough time to see that second half. I'll say a 6. Honestly.
Yeah. I don't think he really put a foot wrong.
Yeah, it wasn't necessarily. And he didn't have the license to go. I don't think he had the license to get too far forward in too many instances. Exactly. I feel like he was definitely safeguarding a lot more this game. So I'd say a 6. But again, the calf injury, bro. Again, a man with
just gonna hope
no injury record comes in and preseason his calf, and again his calf, bro. We have the worst luck when it comes to our key players being injured, and it pisses me off.
What's alarming is the positions as well, because last season it was up top and midfield. Now it's out wide and it's in the central defensive midfield role. So in my head it's like, okay, there's got to be something going on that we need to figure out here, but
bro,
we move.
Yeah, again, somebody said it on the timeline. I forgot who it was, but they said that the cluster injuries are killing us, man. Just at this time, 4 and 5 go down, and we're assed out, man. It's a very critical period, and it's not looking good at this stage, man. But hopefully it's nothing major. Hopefully it's nothing major with them. But yeah, give me Fabio Vieira.
Oof. I can't say Fabio played any better than Odegaard. Which is obviously a disappointment because on the run of form that he's been on, you want him to contribute. Now, I feel that maybe it might just be that he didn't receive the ball in the areas he wanted it in early on in the game. It might even have been that maybe the positions he was picking up weren't kind to him. But if I had to just go off the basis of the whole performance and the fact that he was taken off at halftime for Havertz, I don't think it was an average performance. I don't think it was an above average performance. So I'm gonna stick with a 5.5 for Vieira.
Yeah, I hear it. Let me get clearly our man of the match today. Stood out. Was doing his usual thing. Bukayo Saka, he gets a 7.5. Nobody's getting an 8. Nobody's touching an 8 today, honestly. But Bukayo Saka, he was again out of the attack. He was the only person that really gave trouble to that back line, in my opinion. He was the only person that was going 100%. At him. Udogie was free. Udogie was free food for that man. He was lunch, and this also. And again, I can speak back on this. The fact that we weren't giving more of the ball to Saka in more situations to press Udogie after he got that yellow card early is still baffling to me. I don't understand why the game plan wasn't to feed it to Saka and let the game open up from there instead of just try and mess around. I feel like, again, a part of that is on Odegaard to progress the ball and get it to Saka in those situations. I feel like the situation was kind of awkward. Like every now and again, like Saka would get the ball by himself, you know what I'm saying, or he'd get it from Saliba or Jorginho in the second half, and then the game would stall. White would try to force an overlap or something like that. We lose the ball, and then it just breaks down from there. I really like it was Saka's game to take, and I feel like he just didn't get enough of the ball to cook. But today he was on it. You know what I'm saying? He was on it. He converted his penalty. He forced the own goal for Romero. He was causing trouble, man. He was doing his thing. It's just we needed to feed into that, and we didn't. It was a tough thing to kind of see, trying to make other things happen. It was a weird game because I feel like more of the play came through the left and nothing was happening really on that side, which is, again, funny considering the absences. But you know, who am I to judge? But you know, 7.5 for Saka, definitely our star man today.
No, I agree.
Shout out to Star Boy. Give me Gabriel Jesus, left wing.
I'm gonna give Gabriel 6.5. I'm gonna give Jesus a 6.5. I feel that, again, you are missing the likes of Trossard and Martinelli, who offer you something different between the two of them. Arguably, I feel that this was a game Jesus had to start up front. Unfortunately, that didn't happen because of the injuries that we have. But in terms of the sort of service he received, how well he was able to control the ball and run at the defenders, caused a bit of indecision in regards to pressing as well. I think it was an above average performance. I don't think it was spectacular, but I do feel that he will look at the game and think there were a couple of opportunities that could really have had more of an impact on the game. I go back to the him pressing Maddison and winning the ball there. Just needs like half a second to compose himself rather than lash at it the way he did. I know you were talking about in reference to how he had Dalot sliding and still sliding. But again, I just think it's that element of we just weren't at the races early enough. I mean, the pressing, like if you look at the pressing that we had in that first 35 minutes, Tottenham couldn't really cope, and that's why the element of indecision and almost out of nature presence that Tottenham had in their own half, you know. So I feel like in those instances, it's kind of going back to your comment earlier of how we need to pick up that element of ruthlessness, because if that's a Man City or if that's a Liverpool from a couple of seasons ago, it's in the back of the net. They are punished. You punish opposition for doing those sort of things. So he'll look at that. I think he could have contributed more. Defensively, absolutely superb, which is why I believe he gets an above average rating. Helped the team out in regards to being able to recycle the ball. A few last ditch interceptions did help as well. And I feel like he aided Zinchenko pretty well. It's just unfortunate he couldn't get a goal today, but we move.
Yeah, I hear it. And Eddie Nketiah, I'm personally, you know what I'm saying, somebody who I think can make a big impact in a lot of different games. I feel like today just wasn't poor the whole way through, man. I'm giving him a 3. I ain't gonna lie. I'm sorry. I gotta be real with this one, man. Again, didn't offer anything going forward in the attack too much. Again, I didn't see too much of runs from him. I didn't see too much of, you know, again, proper dueling. It could be the progression of the game and how it flowed, but there's some things he could have been more on top of, and it was just a hole. It was just a hole in that part of the pitch, man. And again, the reckless tackles, at some point, I feel like at some point at the end of the first half, he just lost his head and he was just running around. He was just trying to run channels and stuff. He was stifled, fully stifled today, and I feel like there was he had no answer.
I feel there'll be an element of frustration on his end, and this is kind of where I was going back to with the element of Odegaard having underperformed today as well. There's one thing you want your more direct midfielder,
creative threat,
contribute. Like if it's a thing where I know so much how well Saka, Odegaard, and Jesus have combination play, and it's not even that we haven't seen better combination play from Eddie today, which is why I feel like there's an element of disappointment. But Odegaard not being at the races obviously is going to have a huge influence on how Eddie picks up the ball, what the sort of positions he's going to find himself in. A lot of the positions he was finding himself in were offside because the ball wasn't being released quick enough, or the passing option that we opted for wasn't the best one. It goes back to how I look again, where Trossard and Martinelli are not available, and you're having to use Jesus almost as an inside forward as opposed to an out-and-out winger who's going to then receive the ball out wide and take the ball down the byline. Those are the small things that also contribute to a better performance. So as harsh as I understand your rating for Eddie, I also think you got to look at it from a perspective of Ode wasn't at the races, Fabio didn't help. You know,
I agree.
Saka was probably, like you said, Saka was probably the only player in that attacking attack that was really trying to force something. I know the ball was again a lot more on our left hand side, which again is questionable. But then you have to look at where the balls were coming from, and they're coming from the left back, or they're coming from the right back. They're not coming from central midfield. And again, that's testament to how Tottenham played today. Unfortunately,
also true.
You know, so yeah, I completely understand your rating, Freddie. I just feel like that's why the other ratings were as low as where they were.
No, I agree. I agree. It all stems from the same place. It just wasn't. Yeah. It wasn't the right level of activity to get the midfield involved. The midfield disappeared today. That was the biggest culprit, I think. Yeah. And again, a part of that was Declan Rice going down. A part of that was, the change we were forced into.
But I feel like you also can't blame Arteta for he had to make the call, especially with the way Timber happened earlier on in the season. You don't want to take any more risks. We've already got Partey out.
I'm sorry. It's something. People were saying like, he felt discomfort. You know what I'm saying? Rice felt discomfort actually in his back. People were saying his back. So I was like, all right, cool. You know what I'm saying? Whatever. It's doctor recommended. We can't risk that going into games forward.
Exactly.
Cool. And in my opinion, I don't think Arteta was, like outwitted or outmatched or had a bad application.
No. A lot of people are blowing it out of proportion.
I would say maybe the subs were a little bit like kind of crazy in certain regards, but that's always the battle he's gonna fight, trying to be, after the forced substitution for Declan Rice, I think things went a little bit left from there, and he had to, he was kind of forced into certain hands. But in terms of execution of the game, I feel like he had the right outlook, and we should have been minimum 2-0 up based on that plan in the first 30 minutes of the game. But that comes down to execution, the players.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. At that point, like, the manager can only do so much. It is really down to the 11 on the pitch to contribute towards the manager's goals and essentially the players' goals to win the game. So when you have been forced into making those substitutions, and ideally you'd want to have seen Smith Rowe and Reece Nelson earlier, but you've seen how quickly Jorginho's been rushed in, and he hasn't been able to match the intensity of the game, and we've had to pay for that, So I think it's an element of that. There will be that element of, okay, you'd like to look to the experienced players that you're in a game of that intensity and that sort of magnitude for them to make good decisions, So I can't blame Arteta for anything, and I don't think Tottenham, outwitted or out in terms of performing tactically.
Yeah, he did not perform.
I just think Tottenham were able to execute their game plan pretty well,
and we couldn't turn the screw.
Yeah, and where our midfield weren't up to the races, their midfield was. That's it.
Definitely.
Yeah,
definitely. That's the beginning and end of it, honestly. And for that, I can kind of skip over and move different ways. I'll give Arteta probably I give him a 6.5. I think a 6. I feel like that's about pretty fair, pretty middle of the road.
Yeah.
The subs definitely were my concern though with everything. Yep. Again, even though they were born out of that Declan Rice change, there were some things I'm like, probably moving. Even though Jesus did run the channels, maybe more minutes from them. Emil coming on earlier to potentially change the game. The timing of certain things I wish would have been different, but it was what it is. The subs, I'm giving everybody a bog standard 5 except for Jorginho, my boy Jorginho. He's got to get you got to get a 2, Brody. You got to get a 2, son. You got to get a 2, son, like Arizona. Harsh. I'm sorry, brother. I'm sorry.
I think it's harsh.
It is.
I go back to I definitely, like I said, I do believe it's harsh, but I think you have to go back to the fact that the reason he was brought in, and I want to also highlight is I don't want this to be a continued theme for him, because at the end of the day, he's signed and he's played exceptionally for us pretty much since he signed.
Right. Let this be a one-off.
If there was a day to pick a time to not have the level of intensity that's required to play that role, today wasn't the worst day. Today was the worst day. I just feel like a guy with his experience, if you throw Kiwior in there and he makes that mistake, it's understandable because he's young and he needs to understand the role a lot more. When you've got somebody that's plus 30, has played in the Premier League for about 6-7 seasons now, you know what I mean? You want him to be able to.
Yeah, and a midfielder that we typically again associate with very, very intelligent play more often than not, and control. So it's just very, very uncharacteristic. So I got to give him that. I got to give him that one lash. But is what it is, man. That's the squad. That's the team. Unfortunate day out in the office, but we move still. We move. Who we got next in the Champions League, man? Spurs ain't in there.
I believe it's Lons, RC Lons.
Oh yeah, we got Lons at what, home? Or away? I think we're away.
I think we might be away.
I think we're away. And then who we have after that? It's not City, is it? It's not City.
Oh, City. I think we play someone else in the league before that.
Nah, we play Bournemouth. We played Bournemouth before.
We played Bournemouth away.
We play Brentford on that Wednesday. Next Wednesday. Actually,
yeah.
Actually, this Wednesday. We play Bournemouth this Wednesday.
Yeah. Is that the Carabao Cup?
Oh, yeah. It's EFL Cup. So, okay, Brentford next, then Bournemouth, then Lons, then City on the 8th.
Yeah.
Blood of Jesus.
And then we're on another international break.
Until the end of that month. So we got a lot of games to go, a lot of games to pick up form, recover, and just keep marching towards that City game because, oh boy.
If
it wasn't important then.
That's 3 games. So you'd like to think that's an easy 3 weeks. We probably have about just over 26 days. Hopefully those injuries that we have been able to determine aren't long-term injuries, probably a couple of weeks out at best. And I would like to think that I don't think we'll struggle against Bournemouth, but that's the mentality we have to have with those players. They have to look at that and think we need to correct our wrongs from today, and there needs to be that element of motivation. So I'd like to see Martin Odegaard and Fabio Vieira ridiculous performances, to the point where it's just like, okay, cool, we're ready for City. I'm not even looking at Lons, I'm saying we're ready for City. So yeah.
Listen, again, I'll say it once, I'll say it again. We'll have 2 different people right here. We'll have a double barrel shotgun. We'll have ourselves in another form like it's Looper, and then we'll have the opposite team. We'll have both of them beaten. We'll be right there. We're ready to go. And more often than not, 9 times out of 10 in these important situations, we shooting our damn selves like it's Looper, bro. Like, no, dog. Focus, please. We gotta cut this out, man. We gotta cut this out. But let me know what you guys thought of this matchup and this run that we're gonna go on up to City in the comment section below. Timo, thank you as always for joining in, bro. Appreciate you. With that being said, it's a rough day in the office, but we gotta keep moving forward. That's all we can do. COYG.
We move.